All right, I think we'll get started because we've got a really fun, really full program today. So why don't we get started? And people will join us as they can. So thank you all for being here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Valerie Rochon. I'm the president of the Chamber Collaborative of Greater Portsmouth. We also have, I think, a lot of our staff on with us today. Ben Van Kemp is our VP, and he drives the Zoom bus for us. Jen Stevens is our communications guru. I think we have Judy, our business manager, and Michelle, our tourism person on as well. So the gang's all here, which is awesome. We're all very excited about this. And a little bit of housekeeping. While you'll all be on mute, please use the chat feature. We want this to be totally interactive. If you have ideas, questions, shout them out in chat, please. Don't come off mute, just in chat. But we really, really want your input on this. This is an exciting opportunity for Portsmouth to think about being a winter destination, activating our winter sports and activities. And so we really want to hear your thoughts. If we do get hijacked or which sometimes happens on Zoom, then we'll shut us down and we'll reschedule. All Chamber Chat Live events are recorded and will be posted on our Facebook and YouTube channels. So just know that. Today, we're going to be joined by Ann Weidman from JSA Design and Michael Derhammer from Stoner Andrews, an outdoor adventure firm. We're also going to share a snippet of winter wisdom from an urban planner in Edmonton, Simon O'Byrne, who recently presented during a Portsmouth Smart Growth webinar for the love of winter. Thank you to Emily Chadwick of Portsmouth Smart Growth for sharing this recording with us. Quick chamber news. Restaurant brainstorms have been ongoing. We're talking about barriers. We're talking about March 1st, getting out on the sidewalks, April 1st, out on the streets. Our next brainstorm is Tuesday, February 23rd. We're also talking about Hit the Decks coming up in May. We're going to make it a 5-day rather than a 1-day event. I am going to tell you about picnic tables coming into Market Square in front of Tuscan, North Church, the Valentine's Tree, and Von Mong. Thank you, Ann Weidman and City Manager Conard, for making that happen. Bring your lunch and enjoy. Ann's going to start a whole campaign to get everybody out there on the picnic tables enjoying your lunch on the outside. Visit our calendar on portsmouthcollaborative.org for all of our events. Visit goportsmouthnh.com for lists of events and everybody else that's open, takeout, whatever. Follow the City Manager's Advisory, which comes out multiple times a week, and you can sign up at cityofportsmouth.com. Stephanie puts out a fabulous newsletter about everything that's going on and the important information you need to know, like access to financial aid, COVID guidelines, etc. Reminder that we will open up for questions after Ann and Michael speak, and we're going to see that quick video from Simon O'Byrne. So your question, we'll do a live question and answer, but in the meantime, please keep throwing information into that chat, please. So our guest speakers, Ann Weidman is the Director of Community Engagement at JSA Design, a Portsmouth architecture planning and interior design firm. She's co-founder of Access Navigators, an organization leading in advocacy for people impacted by disabilities. During COVID, she's become a spokesperson for the Portsmouth Design Professionals Alliance, a pro bono streetscape design team for the City of Portsmouth's outdoor dining expansion. Recently, she became a member of the Blue Ribbon Committee on Reopening, formerly the Citizens Response Task Force, sharing her research on best practices on outdoor dining and winter activation. Take it away, Ann.
Okay, let's see. Screen share. I think I'm sharing. I think I'm up and running. So winter, Portsmouth. Yes, we in fact do that here. Like Valerie said, I think some of you at least were logged into the Simon Byrne event back on January 27th. That has been posted at portsmouthsmartgrowth.org. If you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch, and you are going to get a snippet today from the chamber. But after that event, it triggered some newspaper articles. Could Portsmouth be a winter city? And I'm kind of here to say that we already are a little bit all over town. I think that some of us just need to think a little more like a winter city. So I started this whole adventure of looking for winter activation actually back in the summer when I was looking for outdoor dining ideas to help Portsmouth businesses expand into the outdoors. And when August came, I started researching dining in the winter. But of course, that launched me into the whole everything in the winter. And I found this one place that's just the mother lode. If you're the kind of person that takes notes, and if you're the kind of person that likes to follow things on Facebook, this is your mothership, the Winter Cities Institute. Honestly, they share so many cool things. They share things that big cities are doing, and they share things that small cities are doing. As a matter of fact, they even shared what Portsmouth, New Hampshire is doing at Strawberry Bank. So as I started this kind of digging around, Edmonton just kept popping up. And after finding all these things that Edmonton was doing, I decided that I should just be efficient and reach out to Edmonton. And so about 6 weeks ago, I reached out and landed on their Winter City Planner and Project Manager for Winter City Strategies, Isla Tanaka. And Isla, honest to goodness, she just knows everything about activating a winter city. She's the city employee who oversees this whole thing. And Simon O'Byrne, who spoke at the webinar the other week, is like on the citizens committee that makes it all happen. And she said some things that were very compelling to me, one of which was develop a 4-season patio culture. So as I was working with Isla, the first thing that came in my head is that I didn't even know where Edmonton was. I just knew it was way up there somewhere. So in case any of you also aren't exactly sure, here's Edmonton. It's way far up there. And it's a really big city. It's almost 1.5 million people. So when I show you things from Edmonton, you are seeing things through the lens of a really big city that has, bigger staff, bigger budget, and all of that. I also, just a caveat, this is not an exercise in COVID winter. This is a long-range planning, all of us being optimists that we don't know if we're gonna continue to have COVID, but we do know that we're gonna continue to have winter. So we're looking at winter way out and not necessarily things that are COVID friendly, because this isn't gonna happen so much this year. So when you work with Edmonton, because they have such resources, they have put together documents that are absolutely roadmaps that a town like Portsmouth can use. On the left is a 50-some page PDF that they shared with me. That's all the data of how did they start it, how did they get input from citizens, what were their lessons learned. They share the things that failed, they shared the successes, and it's just beautifully put together and very readable and lots of pictures. So that link will go to, I think, Ben or Valerie, and you'll all get the link to that document. And then on the right is a short document. It's maybe 10 pages, and it's specifically meant for restaurants. It's all about strategies for how to have patios in the winter. Things like how to do your blankets and heaters, and what about pads for chairs, and also a whole marketing plan. In Edmonton, they put together posters that the restaurants can use, like "Parka your butt." And so that I will also give the link to, and those 2 PDFs will go out to everyone who has attended. So Edmonton, at the very beginning, they set up 10 goals of things that they wanted to achieve if they became more activated in the winter. And they're all terrific goals, but it's kind of a lot to digest all at once. So if I were to look at those 10 goals, I would pick out these 3 of make it easier to go play outside, incorporate some outdoor winter fun elements, and develop a 4-season patio culture. So I'm all about baby steps. Let's water this down. Let's think about what's honestly achievable. And also, just so you know, it's all of you that have logged on, the number of people and businesses and organizations that it takes to make this happen is staggering. In Edmonton, it was not just the city and the chamber, it was all of this. All of these people and organizations are all working together to make it happen. So this is a giant group effort, and everyone's got to raise their hand, honestly, and help with this. So Edmonton does have 5 winter design elements that they work with all the time. It's designing spaces that capture sun, it's blocking wind, using light creatively, putting in some infrastructure, and adding some color on buildings and spaces. And Isla sent me pictures of Edmonton, and this was maybe 6 weeks ago that I got all this. And so I get these pictures of Edmonton and I look at them and I think, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be cool if we could actually achieve things like this in Portsmouth? It was December, there wasn't snow on the ground. You know, we weren't really into what I call real winter yet, but now all of a sudden we are in real winter. And when I look at these pictures of Edmonton, it's when I start to realize that we actually are a winter city already. We just aren't thinking that way. So here's their great spaces where people are having beers outside in the snow. And here's Portsmouth. We're doing the exact same thing. We're having beers, we're having hot dogs, we're sitting outside in the snow. Edmonton has created these wonderful spaces, urban spaces downtown where people grab a coffee and they have a place to sit. Well, so do we. On any given day, I see a line at Elephantine. Edmonton recommends that restaurants use small tables and tuck them under their awnings to keep the snow off. Look at Maison Navarre, it's exactly what they did. There's no snow on the space where their two little tables are. And then I get thinking, well, that's like coffee and lunch. It couldn't be fine dining. But look at this post that went up last weekend. This couple had dinner at Bridge Street Bistro. I hope they don't mind being shared here. I don't know who it is. It was 23 degrees out. They had dinner at Bridge Street Bistro, and their post said it was so cozy they took their coats off. So like everything is possible. Everything's kind of on the table here. Now I move on to Quebec City, and I love this picture because honest to goodness, I think that's Market Square behind that couple. It just has to be Market Square, but it's not. It's Quebec City. And here's our Market Square looking just as lively, except that's fall. That's not winter. In the winter, our Market Square actually looks like this, and all the tables have been put away. And so I'm pushing out what Valerie mentioned a couple of minutes ago. We brought this, the Mayor's Blue Ribbon Committee kind of brought this up as a, where do you sit to have your takeout if you go downtown for lunch? And the answer is nowhere. There's nowhere to sit. And so City Hall took a look at that. They identified an appropriate table that's accessible, that there's 3 seats on it. The 4th seat side that has no seat, that's the space where a wheelchair user would pull up. And City Hall liked this idea so much that they ordered 10 of these tables. They have already arrived. They're being assembled right now at DPW, unless I'm a little behind the 8 ball. I don't think they've arrived downtown yet because I think DPW is still busy with snow. But as soon as they catch up on snow removal, these tables are coming downtown. Tentatively, what I've been told, 3 in the Tuscan Market area, 3 around North Church, 3 in Vaughan Mall, and 1 in the vicinity of, I guess I have to call it the love tree, the Christmas tree love tree. So these are going to be all over downtown. And yes, we need a grassroots campaign of, have your soup in the sun and let's get downtown and have lunch outside on sunny winter days, because all of a sudden we're going to have tables to sit at. One of the other things Edmonton pushes out is how important it is to have lights and to bring light into your winter night. But we do that too. We just do it on a smaller scale, and maybe we don't run it the whole winter. Strawberry Bank does a beautiful job. The light display on Ceres Street, that's been there for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And that's really cool, lighting up that corner. And I'm pretty sure the budgeting is in place for Vaughan Mall to get a mini makeover of lights on the trees in Vaughan Mall that will also be year round, unless that's already happened. I don't think it has though. Another thing Edmonton does is outdoor concerts in the winter. And this was a staggering thought to me, and I really questioned that with Isla. I'm like, how cold are you and you're having a concert? She said, it could be 15 degrees and we're having a concert. But they had a lot of lessons learned on how you do music, how you do concerts outdoor in the winter. She said they learned that you have to keep the musicians warm. That's non-negotiable. They must be warm. But you don't have to keep the audience warm, but you have to keep the audience moving. So the audience has no chairs. It's not seated. Obviously, this picture is pre-COVID. It's not seated, and the music is always dance music. So the audience is dancing and moving. And up on stage, they put up some kind of walls of wind barriers on 3 sides. And on the audience side, they hang a clear welding curtain, a curtain that you would use in a welding shop. And that is so crystal clear that the audience doesn't see the curtain, but it's a product that insulates the heat. So they put portable heaters on the stage, the musicians stay warm, and everybody's happy. And that's how you do music when it's 10 degrees outside. That's mind-boggling to me. And so I think to myself, could we do music outdoors in Portsmouth? But then, you know, of course, we already do. We just do it on a small scale, and sometimes it's very brief, but it's already happening in a different way, not an organized way, but it's here. I always have to throw this slide in just because grassroots events, general shenanigans, national news, we all love this event. We keep trying to make it happen again. We've never hit it quite like we did that first year. But I saw a quote from this year. One of the bartenders at Rira said it was the most money she had ever made in a day. So if there's a way to push business downtown with some kind of fun general shenanigans, you know, we're open to ideas. Then the other thing we have going on in Portsmouth, everybody knows, oh, there's a skating rink, and everyone knows that there's a patio at the skating rink. This year, the patio was doubled in size to accommodate for distancing. I think of Strawberry Bank this year as a beta testing ground for winter activation, because Strawberry Bank has thought of some new things to throw out there and see what happens. This year, they added a live stream, which was a giant surprise to Strawberry Bank. They actually attracted a global audience that watches every day, 50 plus countries. There's people watching from Peru, from Macedonia, from Greece, from Cuba. It's unbelievable when you read the comments that people around the world are making about what they're seeing at Strawberry Bank. But the most important thing that people are saying, the quote on the bottom, "I watch your rink daily from the UK. You're on my bucket list when we can travel again." And of course, they're seeing winter. So I think they mean their winter bucket list when they can travel again. So like, keep in mind, we're pushing out how great Portsmouth is right now. Also at Strawberry Bank, we have Ice Dance International. They're artists in residence. This year they did about 8 pop-up shows. They live streamed that. They've had over 5,000 views of their live stream show happening. People log on from all over the world. The last one, I grabbed a screenshot of people writing comments. There was a guy from Brazil, a guy from London, person from Italy. Like, it's mind-boggling when you're there at Strawberry Bank and thinking the world is watching along with us. So this is a way to share our winter activation with other places. But then things that, you know, we don't really think of as winter activation, but they are, is the naturally occurring dog park at Strawberry Bank, lively place. Dogs are welcome when the museum itself is closed to the public. This year, Strawberry Bank added a winter picnic grove on a sunny side of the campus. It's not connected to the ice rink, so the ice rink capacities don't affect this area. And they brought in a food truck for 6 weeks. And then there was a big stretch of wall. What this wall is actually doing is hiding the compressor that freezes the ice. And for the last 7 years, it's been a blank wall. And this year, Strawberry Bank thought they should activate it and start to think about using this wall as an outdoor large format art gallery and history wall. And this is going to grow over the next few years and become a destination of just a place to go and look at an exhibit outdoors. So that I'm going to step a little bit away from Portsmouth and just sort of move on to opportunities and inspiration. Well, actually, I'm going to stay at Strawberry Bank for a minute. I just want to point out that Strawberry Bank is 10 acres. And the rink and the dog park area are only activating the little front side that you see from the parking lot. And so what's not activated in the winter at Strawberry Bank are the 3 other entryways, which are open, and this street that goes across the backside, sort of the Court Street side of Strawberry Bank, that is no cars, but it's a nice wide street that could be activated for something. So get your thinking caps on. And then across the street, and I think I saw Courtney Perkins logged on here, so I'm hoping they already have ideas for here. But here's another 10 plus acres that's just adjacent to Strawberry Bank. So if you think about that, we have 20 acres just on the edge of downtown that could be activated with winter things. I'm not sure what the winter things are. That's for all of you to brainstorm, but we do have space and that's really exciting. Here's just some inspiration from Oxbow Beer Garden. I feel like I need a road trip there. I see these A-frames that are there to keep the wind off and gather the sun for the people who are sitting at those picnic tables. It's just a perfect use. My friend that took these pictures loved that so much. She asked the owner, and yes, indeed, they do have the plans for those. All the materials come from Home Depot. You can build one in your backyard for $600. Here's something they do out in Grand Rapids on one of their last days of their downtown ice rink. When the ice is just about ready to be let melt, they invite the public in to have an art festival, drawing on the ice with paint and then taking aerial pictures of it. It looks like fun to me. Back to spaces that we need to think about. City of Portsmouth has 22 parks and playgrounds, and also there's urban forestry and Great Bay Wildlife Refuge. I'm not sure what we put in all these places, but there's a lot of places to think about. In Winnipeg, some of the parents got together and said, this year, this is COVID, said we need to activate some of our parks and have fun things for our kids. If you go to the Winter Cities Institute Facebook page, there's a whole piece on this. You can click through this interactive thing of pictures that these parents put up. But they built mazes and activities and have all these things that really only took manual labor of parents volunteering and snow. So when they had a big snow, everyone came out and created this kind of wonderland of activities in the park. And then sometimes it's, instead of thinking macro, it's, think small. Think of your own neighborhood. What could you and your neighbors do if you had a side yard or something that you were willing to share? I totally love this little free sled library. I kind of picture that on the hill by the tennis courts where the little kids sled across from City Hall. I think that's adorable. But sometimes we're trying to think big, but sometimes maybe we just need to think small and come up with things like this to do. So I buzzed through a lot there because I want to leave a lot of time for us to chat. Today's goal is just to make you think about spaces and things and activities and what's happening. And that's what I've got. That's kind of my wrap up. And moving on to Michael, I think.
All right.
Thanks very much, Anne. And we're going to queue up Michael here. So I want to draw your attention to the chat that Stephanie put up pictures of the lights that are on the trees. And Nancy Comer says there's more to come. So that's all exciting news. Thank you, Stephanie and Nancy. So Michael Derhammer has been a Portsmouth resident since 1999. He has a BS in outdoor recreation from East Stroudsburg University in Pennsylvania. He's worked in the outdoor industry as a guide, a ski area marketer, hard good and soft good rep, as well as product designer and inventor. He is currently sales rep for Thule, Camelback Cliff Bar, Outdoor Research, Toad and Company, Hillinox, and Dovetail. And he's a husband and father of two, and you will quickly realize that he is an avid outdoor winter enthusiast. Michael, thank you.
Thank you very much. Just making sure everybody can hear me. Quick thumbs up. All right. Yes, it is true. I play outdoors essentially as my job. So if you ever wonder what an outdoor rec major does, that's essentially it. I got that way because I was going to be a ski bum and realized I could go to college for that. And things snowballed from there. People have asked, why did I come to New Hampshire? From Pennsylvania, I joked that I wanted an ocean and I wanted more winter. I do love winter, and I think more people should get into it. I will apologize. My presentation is not as polished as Anne's, and that was wonderful. Thank you for that. I've only been involved with this discussion since Tuesday. So I promise I'll get a little bit better, but I want to key you in on some ideas. Being as I'm in the outdoor recreation market as a sales rep, we are always looking for year-round use of the outdoors. Thule, all those things, primarily towards biking. Cycling can be a year-round event, and the way we grow our businesses are through looking for organic growth from one season to spread it out. So I'm always thinking about how can a cycle shop turn from a cycle shop that's 2-3 seasons to a full year round, and involving your winter activities is the way we go. And with that, I'd like to share my screen and pardon me. We're going to go first to a map. So thumbs up if you can see the map there. All right. So what's coming to Portsmouth and to the greater Seacoast area is a rail trail. Rail trails obviously tying into cycling, and folks might say, well, great, that's for cyclists. Not so. COVID has taught us that bikes are great, but anything going outdoors is going to have a huge potential for so many folks. And what's great about this is that you can do it year round. If you're going to follow my cursor, I've switched screens over to some green and yellow dots. This is the rail trail, if you're following along right here. And that rail trail, in my mind, is not just a rail trail, it's the winter trail. And when I call it the winter trail, I'm talking about cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, ski joring, trail running, you name it. As long as it's a pursuit that you can do without an engine, it's pretty much on the table and accessible to everybody. The great thing about Portsmouth not having a mountain is we don't automatically say, okay, we can only do alpine skiing. Alpine skiing is just one event. With a winter trail, you can do so much more. Anne had mentioned how Edmonton always looks for windbreaks. This entire corridor is lined by trees. So what that means is if you're in the woods in this area, you've got natural beauty, but you've also got a great windbreak. You also have shade. I mentioned shade as a positive in this case because snowpack actually stays very nicely here. This green dot at the top of my screen is where the rail trail diverges from an active railway to the disused railway that I'm tracing right now. The cool thing about this is right here, that green dot is almost in the backyard of Street, of Loaded Question. It is right there near the Gallagher Plaza. If we pan this way, that's Gallagher Plaza right there. So we are immediately near great retail, great dining, things like that. So what that means is, unlike a ski hill where you travel off into the middle of nowhere and then you don't have a place to dine or only can dine at the resort, now you've got all the amenities of Portsmouth right there. That's really important to a lot of folks. It also means that you have better choice, etc. So you can see that this would be a great spot to start. I know that when people think Portsmouth, they oftentimes think of Market Square, and I love Market Square, but we can make the convenience of Portsmouth really well known through this trailway, and it's just a short hop to downtown from this section on the west end. Now, these yellow highlights that I'm going to go over are intersections and possible starting points for a winter trailway. Barbary Lane, right here, that area has some parking opportunity. From this point on down will be essentially where I begin measuring from. Right here, the next yellow dot, Ellen Dundero Foley Ave, a little bit of a mouthful. This is a section that will connect between Borthwick over on this side and Islington. There's a little walking path. This effectively would be the easiest parking spot because there are a medical plaza right here that has about 200 parking spaces from a rough count. So folks can jump onto the trailway very easily right here. If you continue down from this point to this point here, so the Dondero Foley Ave to Greenland Ave, that is about 0.75 miles. I've measured these all out, And this is uninterrupted skiing, snowshoeing, whatever have you. This area right here at Greenland Road is actually an underpass that goes under the road, so you're not looking at a roadway interrupting. If we were talking about snow cover, we would need to just push 10 feet worth of snow, and usually wind will cover that area. Then we continue on the longest stretch of the railway without interruption. So you can see that 3.2 mile mark. To this area right here is 2.1. That's the intersection of Banfield Road and the railway, and it would continue on for an additional 3.4 miles in Portsmouth. So if you're looking at a round trip, you have close to 7 miles worth of trail that can be groomed, that can be hiked, can ski, whatever have you. That is really long. To put that into context, most people are happy with a 5K loop. We would have close to double that. And if anybody says, well, that's great, but it's on a railway trail, how do people get there? How do they access it? We've got access right here at Ellen Dondero Foley Ave. Greenland, right here, Islington and Greenland, there's a municipal lot, which I don't know what the future of it is, but that'd be an excellent starting point. And a lot of parking, very easily gotten to by 95 and from downtown via Middle Road. Great spot, really useful. What we have too is the option to groom. I know that sounds like pie in the sky, and everybody thinks of groomers as something that happened at full alpine mountains. But here's the funny thing. I know of at least 2 people who own groomers and are grooming on their own already. Jeff Latimer, owner of Gus's Bike down in Northampton, he has a groomer, and he's currently grooming their section of this rail trail that continues down to Northampton. That's great. The other groomer that I know of is the Mount Agamemnicus Ski Club. They were gifted a groomer, so no input for dollars there. It was very easy for them to get. And they currently, I believe, have over 10K worth of trails that are groomed for traditional kick and glide with a track set as well as skate. A skate track, generally, you're looking at a 4-meter wide, so about a 12-foot area. And for much of this rail trail, totally doable. I'm going to click over to the Agamemnicus Ski Club page so you can see what it looks like there. Pretty cool little setup. Most of these are going to be just families. They're not all racers. We don't want to discourage people of varying abilities. That's the great thing about calling it a winter trail. A lot of people who think of things just as cross-country ski, they might get intimidated, say, nope, that's more than my ability level is possible for. No problem. You can trail run, you can snowshoe. As long as you can put one foot in front of the other, you're good to go. In fact, even if you can't put one foot in front of the other, you can do things like toe behind. This little photo, that's the Mount Agamemnicus Ski Club. Beautiful bunch of people. What I like to point out to businesses is 30 kids. This year, they had to waitlist and turn away folks. So we know that there's a hungry group of people to go out and recreate in the winter. And the great thing about this is if that's an average family, take those 30 kids times 4, because there are siblings, there's mom, dad. If a business said, hey, Mount Agamemnicus Ski Club, take a try on Portsmouth Winter Trail and come to Loaded Question for a free beer. I know mom or dad probably would appreciate a free beer after watching their kids ski or skate for that long. So.
I think your screen might be frozen there, Michael.
Oh.
So.
Yes, I don't know why. It's saying screen share is paused.
Huh.
bring your share to the front window.
Yeah, I think you're only sharing your browser. So I think if you try to switch out of your browser, it.
Ah, pardon me. Well, that one's not really all that necessary. What I was getting at is with that rail trail, you can have quite a bit of area that you can cover with minimal dollar input. Groomers, if they are brand new, they're under $1,000. You would need nothing but a small snowmobile, and there are tons of those. You can drag a snowmobile that I believe for close to 2 miles without interruption. So that's pretty incredible. And I know people that are doing this entirely on their own already. So I think that it's entirely achievable for Portsmouth. There are other ideas, including ice skating. A lot of folks, when they think of Portsmouth, they think of our winter or not winter, our water as being the ocean, the Piscataqua, et cetera, things like that. If you look at things like the, pardon here, the open spaces plan and or the public undeveloped land assessment, I've counted at least 5 sizable ponds that are not named. I've started naming them after my kids. So if you hear me refer to Adeline's Well or things like that, it's because that's my daughter. And let me bring you back up to the browser. So things like this area right here, that's Alden's Well, that's my son. This is immediately off of the rail trail right here. And if parking were granted right here at the intersection of Greenland, Islington Middle, where it's municipal, that is easily walkable right there. The size of this pond is about 1/3 of a mile around, so I believe that equates to close to 5 acres. And that is at the end of Harvard Road, or Harvard Street rather. If we zoom out, there are quite a few over by the Market Basket Sanel area. We've got a number, here we go. A number of waterways that are not terribly attractive. And that's actually great because right in here, off of Campus Drive and down, there's a standing body of water. And this might tie into one of my other ideas, which would be essentially a winter park. When we're talking about cross-country skiing, things of that nature, we will need snow access. And yeah, we have snow pretty often, but it's not a guarantee. The cool thing about snow though, for cross-country skiing, because it's flat, and if you have an area that's relatively grassy, you can ski on as little as 1 inch of snow. If that snow is packed, you can ski for months. If you look at things like just how a snowbank that's been plowed there stays for weeks, if not months longer, same idea would go here. If you ran a groomer over just a circle, that circle is going to stay considerably longer than anything else. If you took an area like this that had a pond, you can actually push the snow off, pack it down, and keep a skating area and a skiing area side by each. So we can concentrate into an area that we would call a winter park, put up a pavilion, have your bands there, and now we're extending the Portsmouth idea from strictly downtown more towards the western side of town. So you can get around and do quite a bit more. If you're looking for sensationalism, Anne had mentioned how getting eyeballs towards new activities, this is a great way to do it. We can have ski joring, which is tow behind a skier, tow a skier behind a dog. We can do dog sled racing. We can do essentially drag racing on skis where you have a day set aside to see who can set down the fastest kilometer, something short. Then if we're doing things like tying into businesses, we can have Best Photo or a Strava app, an app that will track somebody as they're skiing, as they're skating, as they're doing any winter activity, and then give awards from various businesses downtown or various businesses around Portsmouth. Somebody who's gone the most miles that month, maybe they need a massage. Somebody who's gotten the best photo and they tagged Winter Wonderland Portsmouth or something of that nature, they could get a outdoor photo session. As inventive as we want to get, that's going to expand and amplify the idea of winter being a great place and a great time in Portsmouth. If somebody's a history buff, the pond right here off of Essex Road, that was the historic area where Portsmouth used to ice harvest. And in fact, some of the ice house is still right about there. So we can do a ton and highlight some of the history, beauty, and businesses of Portsmouth really easily. It's going to be a coalition of the willing, but I think we've got a really compelling story to tell in Portsmouth. And if we're looking at other communities and other places that have done similar things, right here, Quarry Road Trails, this is up in Waterville, Maine. So Waterville, Maine, just off of Augusta, town of 1600. So we're a larger town. This trailway that they have is in fact owned and operated by the city. They do a little bit of snow blowing for themselves. You can see it right there in the background on that slide currently. And they have had consistent, reliable skiing since November. Because they've had that, cities and clubs, organizations have been coming to them asking to use that area because other areas have not been consistently snowy. So if we put in a small investment in either trail creation, trail maintenance, things like that, we can get by and actually flourish rather than just getting by. I'd mentioned the size of Waterville just so you can see it's not just towns like Edmonton with over 1 million. Towns that have 16,000, no problem. Augusta, the next nearest big town, 18,000. Still, Portsmouth, much larger. I think we can outdo them. We're closer to Boston. We're closer to New York City. We're a town that people like. I think that we've got a great, compelling argument to make this the winter destination for many, many people. That's essentially the ideas that I've been thinking on. The winter park concept is a lot grander, and I'd like to flesh it out some, but I'd also like to give you some chance to ask me any questions if you have some. And happy to pass along.
That's great, Michael. I think you've shown us so many possibilities about what we can do here in Portsmouth. So, and who knew that those ponds are out there and all those trails and all those opportunities are out there. So thank you so much for pointing those out to us. That's it gets the mind thinking, doesn't it? It gets us thinking. So we're going to hold off on Q&A until we show the Simon O'Byrne video, and then Ben will facilitate us for some Q&A. So if we're ready to do that, Ben, let's throw that up there. This is from Simon O'Byrne from the Portsmouth Smart Growth webinar. This is just a small snippet, and we're going to put the link to this entire recording up in the chat for you.
Is such a critical time of the year. And I think it's even more important in the context that we now, all the time now, we think, as I'm an urban planner and urban designer, and we're always thinking about social isolation and depression and even suicide. And how do we improve the urban life so that people can be happier? When you have a darkness that comes with winter, it's important, and the cold that comes with it, and people hibernate, it's really important that we do things that are going to increase and add to people's mental health and make it better and richer. And it's important that we as city builders, and a lot of you on the call either are actively involved in city building or really care about it, and you're involved with your respective community. So I want you to think about how your city can be different. How can it be a better place for all 4 months of the year? One of the things that I often do when I'm consulting with developers is I ask them, have you thought about winter city design? And they go, no, what's that? And I go, well, how vibrant and successful is your development, whether it's a main street, a standalone business, maybe it's a town center and a master plan community. And I ask, well, how vibrant and successful is it in January? And they go, well, what's January? It's never vibrant or successful. And I go, that's right. And the reason is because you haven't thought about winter city design. So one of the things I often say to whether it's chambers of commerce or it's a downtown association, when I talk about winter city design is, if you're not thinking about winter city design, then you should really only be doing a performer for 8 months of the year and not 12 months of the year. If you really want a performer for 12 months of the year, then you have to completely change the narrative. You have to design for how is this project, whether it's a park, whether it's a street, a plaza, whether it's a brand new community and brand new development, or it's simply just a downtown association, you want to make it more vibrant and successful.